I'm happy to be here tonight because, excuse me, yesterday I had what was supposed to be a minor surgery that, as it turns out, I was completely untrained to perform. So, I am glad to be here. My name is Clint Hall. Actually, I want to make sure we get off on the right foot. So, full disclosure, Clint is a nickname. It's a family name. My real name is Clenneth, Clenneth, because my mother Clarissa and my father Kenneth thought it would be romantic for me to have to spell my name to everybody. I'm still better off than my brother Kenisa. I do enjoy performing stand-up, but as it is right now, I do still have a day job as well. I am a case manager with the state of Indiana Food Stamp and Medicaid office. What, Clint? You work in an office? We didn't see that coming. We thought you worked out of doors. With your hands. But I couldn't really help it, though. The whole time I was growing up, my mom did then the same job that I do now. And while everybody else was getting Legos and Tonka trucks, she'd be bringing home discontinued government forms for me to play with. Be filling those out with the kids in the neighborhood. Is there any reason you're not working at this time? 7, what's wrong with you? I can't talk a lot about what I actually do at work because when my supervisor found out I was doing stand-up comedy, she told me so. She said, everything we do here is proprietary. Like they're afraid Kentucky's going to find out what we're doing. Steal all our food stamp business. Work in a small office. There's 8 of us in the office, and I'm required to wear my photo ID at all times. I asked my supervisor why. She says, that's a security measure in case somebody gets in here who's not supposed to be. You'll know. There's 8 of us. Get a lot of interesting rules from the state. I got an email last week. Absolutely nobody is allowed to take selfies at work and post them to social media. Why would I want to? All my Facebook friends think I'm an independent filmmaker and a professional yacht racer. But you know what's really interesting about processing government documents all day, every day? Nothing. So last month, for the first time in 30 years, I have actually applied for a new job. Woo! 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 And that process has changed. I went into the interview, and they're like, so is your resume on PDF or is it on Word? And I was like, paper? It's on paper. That's Times New Roman. They wanted a copy of my college transcript, which I hadn't seen since college. I haven't even seen my diploma since we finally got a coffee table that was already level. So I had to go online, try and get a copy of my college transcript. I got to answer these security questions to make sure I am who I say I am, like, which of the following classes were you enrolled in 1991? I don't even remember what I had for breakfast, let alone what class I was skipping 30 years ago. And the questions they ask at the interview, so Clint, what's your biggest weakness? Bench press? Not so good at bench press. Now the new job application was not the first time I had tried to find something else to do, as for a period of time I was also a professional wrestler. I'm not to the joke part yet, but thanks for that confidence boost. Appreciate that. That was a real, true, poor life decision that I made all on my own. People have difficulty believing that for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is that a lot of people think pro wrestling is like WWE or nothing, you know. But like any other form of entertainment, there are different levels. All the way from the guys in the WWE that wrestle at Madison Square Garden, all the way down to the guys like me that wrestled in the barn behind Tom's Lawn and Garden. And I tried to look the part, you know, I had the long hair and the spandex tights, and I cut the hair, but I still have the tights, because sometimes I just want to feel pretty. My biggest problem, though, trying to break into pro wrestling was I didn't give a good interview. I didn't cut a good promo. You know, my opponent would be screaming and yelling for 5 minutes how they're going to tear me apart. They'd throw it over to me, and I'd just correct his grammar. It was like Cannonball Hall. You heard what crazy loco Lobo had to say. What is your response? And I'd be like, oh, I heard him all right. And I would have to say his subject-verb agreement was questionable at best. And his incessant use of misplaced modifiers served to render his verbal threats all but unintelligible. Brother. Of course, everybody looks at me and they hear professional wrestler. They all jump to that same conclusion: steroids. I'm here to tell you this is 100% pure natural. I don't think that's supposed to pop. A lot of people, once they do believe I was in professional wrestling, they all want to know, so what was your finisher? How did you end the match? Usually on my back. So I got into something a little easier on my body, so I decided to break into stand-up comedy. This is probably a good point in the evening to let you know that I am actually a non-profit stand-up comedian. Not on purpose. It's just kind of how things are working out. And you know, when you try to get into stand-up comedy, folks are very happy to give you feedback, whether you want it or or not. I had a guy come up to me recently and he's like, hey man, I really like that character, that nerdy character. I said, what character are you talking about? People love to give you advice. Like people say to me, Clint, you're married. Why, when you're on stage, don't you do more wife jokes? Because I love her and I don't want to be up there next time telling ex-wife jokes. The best piece of advice I've gotten since I got into stand-up comedy is that the most successful comedians, when they're on stage, are just themselves with the volume turned way up. So this is me. The volume turned way up. Let's see, what else can I talk about? I got into town today and I had to stop at the Dollar Tree because I had some major purchases that I needed to make. And while I was there, I found out that the Dollar Tree has available gift cards. Like, what better way to say, I like you a very little bit. So I had to call my wife back home and tell her. She's like, I want one. That was the easiest birthday ever. Because I'm romantic like that. Like last year for our anniversary, I took her bowling. I'm not a complete nerd. It was Glow Bowl. Even though it's not really my sport. I mean, we get to the bowling alley, somebody asks my wife, so what's your handicap? She just goes, him. She's not wrong. You know, the bowling alley we went to had one of those screens that comes up between frames and suggests where you should put your next ball. And about my sixth frame, it came up and just showed a picture of my hall closet. It was a rude machine. Rude. It's not like I didn't try, though. I asked my father-in-law. He's a really good bowler, 200 lifetime average. Asked if he could watch me bowl, maybe give me some advice. So he watched me bowl a couple games. I'm like, so what do you think? He says, you know what you could try is golf. My wife and I are raising our grandson right now. I know what you're thinking. What, a low-level government employee and a grandfather? I didn't think this guy could get any hotter. But it's true. And he was very young when he moved in with us. He was 3. And we were obviously a little bit older than we had when we had kids at home. There was a lot of adjustments to make, a lot of changes. You know, the different foods, the different TV shows, the 9 o'clock bedtimes. And it took a while, but he finally got used to going to bed as early as we do. That was nice. He's 7 now, and I still love to watch television with him because everything's so exciting and so new. The only problem is, no matter what commercial comes on, he wants that. You know, like, give me that, Papa Clint. I want that, Papa Clint. And I try not to discourage him, but the other day I finally had to tell him, Grayson, you don't even use catheters. I guess that's what you get for letting a 7-year-old watch Murder, She Wrote. We thought it'd be a good idea to get Grayson a little bit of culture, so we took him from where we live in very southern Indiana to the Children's Museum up in Indianapolis for what was supposed to be a day trip. But as will happen when you travel with a 7-year-old, things took a little longer than we expected, so we decided we'd just get a hotel for the night. And since it was already dark, we just pulled into the first place we could find, you know, this Bates Motel looking place. And I go in to get a room, and the desk clerk asked, do you have reservations? I was like, yeah, but we're going to stay anyway. Of course, having the grandson around the house every day, it lets me know that I am getting a little bit older. I turned 50 this year. I'm older, but I'm not old. I'm like at a weird age. Like I'm still young enough that I know how to update all the contacts on my cell phone. But I'm old enough that most of them are doctors and pharmacies. Of course, in my lifetime, technology's changed a lot. You know, when I was a kid, I remember all I had to do was find a quarter down the couch, and I could go down the street and get a Coke out of the machine. And now the Coke machines take credit cards, right? And I'm sure that's super convenient, but if I could give you a little advice, if you can't put together enough cash money to get yourself a Diet Sprite, maybe increased credit card debt is not your best financial move. Of course, technology's making a lot of things obsolete now. A lot of things used to be commonplace. The payphone's obsolete. VCR's obsolete. I think, though, the thing I miss the most that technology's replaced is like when I'm having an argument on the telephone, being able to slam that receiver down, that release. It's just not the same anymore, you know? It's like, and that's final. Hold on, I got you on speaker. And now my camera's opening. You're gonna have to hang up. I think my big problem with technology, though, is I'm not good with it. I don't really use it well. Like the other day, I was trying to remember the name of a single by the band Chicago. But I couldn't remember the song, and then I decided to look it up. But I also could not remember the word discography. So I Googled Chicago singles. I got a whole other list of search results. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I come to you this evening from Dale, Indiana. That's the reaction that you, oh, all right. That never gets that reaction. Okay. Dale, for those of you who don't know, is a very small town in very southern Indiana. And like most small towns, it's a little bit different. Like our funeral director is also the taxidermist. Sometimes he gets confused. Like at my grandfather's funeral, Gramps was like this. The police department keeps office hours. It's like Dale, Indiana, tough on crime, till 6. Got places we gotta be. They're trying to get more serious about it, though. The city increased the budget. They were actually able to double the size of the police force. And, the new guy's name is Scott. It's nice. The city purchased an unmarked police car. I don't know who they're trying to fool with that thing. We all see Scott driving it. It's ridiculous. Still, you couldn't have a show like Law and Order set there, though. You like Law and Order, Dale. Do you have a description of the suspect? Yeah, it was Earl. The only suspense in the whole show would be, well, was it Big Earl or Little Earl? Not a lot to do over home, so I do watch a lot of television, which is okay because we've got direct TV. Actually, again, full disclosure, we actually spliced into the neighbor's satellite. So what we have is indirect TV. My favorite right now are the cooking channels, the Food Network, except for they always have these world famous chefs on there and they always ask them that same question. How did you become a world famous chef? And they all give that same answer. Oh, I fell in love with food at a very early age. Like the rest of us, we're all growing up like boo food. My favorite show right now, though, on there is Chopped. You know what I'm talking? Chopped? Yeah, all right. For those of you who don't know, Chopped is a show where they bring these chefs on and they give them 4 ingredients that don't have anything to do with each other and then tell them to make a dish that makes sense. You know, like, chefs, in your basket you will find lemon soda, broccoli, Tic Tacs, and sea bass. Make dessert. And you always got that one guy who's like, as soon as I saw the sea bass, I thought ice cream. Why would you? Why? I also watch the Science Channel a lot. Shocker. And I was watching this show on there the other day. A scientist discovered this guy. He was mummified when he was trapped by a glacier 5,000 years ago. And now they're basing everything they know about what people wore, what they ate, and how they lived in that area at that time on this one guy. I don't know about you guys, but 5,000 years from now, I don't want to be that guy. I mean, what if it's Halloween when I get run over by the glacier? And because of me, they think we all lived on candy. We all dressed like Miley Cyrus. It was a party in the USA, I'll tell you. Of course, the worst part about watching television is the commercials, like you seen the one for Golden Corral. For just $3 more, you can take home absolutely all the food you can fit in a plate this big. We get more than that in my wife's purse now. I think the commercials that have been bothering me the most over the last few years, though, are these Discover Card commercials. Discover Card, we'd treat you like you'd treat you. I wouldn't charge me 23.5% interest. Oh, you guys have been amazing, but before I get out of here, I want to make sure, I don't want to leave you with the wrong impression about my hometown. Now, I've said some things about Dale, but even though it is a small town, we have made our contributions to society. Florence Henderson, who played the mom on the Brady Bunch, yeah, she was born in Dale, and that's it. That's all I want. Thank you. Actually, just by being on this stage right now, I'm already the second most famous person from Dale, Indiana. Thank you, everybody. You've been amazing.